So, have you ever found yourself wide awake at 3 a.m., just feeling this sudden, inexplicable shift in the air in your room? Well, today we're diving into a terrifying breakdown of a hospital urban legend straight from our source material that basically blurs the line between hard medical reality and an absolute nightmare. Honestly, if you've ever worked a night shift or even just laid awake wondering what exactly goes bump in the dark, this explainer is going to grab you, and trust me, it is not going to let go. Just imagine, for a second, hearing this exact scream echoing down a pitch-black hospital corridor. Doctor, doctor, save my child, save him. We are dropping right into a stormy, completely unforgiving night at ward number 9, literally right as a frantic medical emergency bursts through the doors. It's a moment of pure, unadulterated panic. But to really get why this specific plea is so chilling, we kind of have to look at exactly where this is all happening. All right, let's set the scene with Section 1, The Legend of Ward 9. Picture a dilapidated civil hospital getting absolutely lashed by heavy rain, smelling heavily of dampness, and just echoing with those lonely, repetitive sounds of medical machines. So the hospital staff actually call this specific window the Devil's Hour. According to the legend, if any patient is admitted to the third-floor ICU between 2 and 3 a.m., well, they simply do not survive until morning. Now sure, doctors might laugh it off during the day, right? But the night shift staff, they know the truth. During this specific hour, the entire atmosphere just shifts. Any chatter or laughter completely dies out, and this eerie, totally silent dread kind of takes over the floor. Honestly, nobody wants to be on duty here. Which brings us right to Section 2, the Devil's Hour shift. We are introduced to the medical staff who drew the short straw tonight. 27-year-old Dr. Arav and intern Dr. Neha. They're exhausted, basically running on fumes during a grueling 18-hour shift, and they are completely unprepared for what's about to hit them. You have this heavy, distinct smell of phenol mixed with damp medicines just hanging in the air. Then suddenly, the absolute dead silence is shattered by this creepy metallic screech from the old elevator out in the hall. You know, that awful sound of metal violently grinding against metal. Dr. Urav actually tries to crack a joke to lighten the mood, but before he can even finish his sentence, boom, the power fails completely. The whole floor is just swallowed by darkness, lit only by these really faint flickering red emergency lights. Look at how incredibly fast things escalate here on this timeline. We go from a perfectly quiet shift at 2:17 a.m. to total catastrophic power failure in moments. And then, out there in the pitch-black corridor, they hear it. The slow, dragging sound of heavy footsteps just steadily approaching the ICU doors. Out of the shadows, a figure steps forward, but plot twist, it's not some monster, it's just the hospital's mousy, a cleaning lady in a light blue sari, calmly mopping the floor in the dark. But what she says, absolutely chilling. Doctor, get ready. A case is coming. Honestly, the scariest part here is her total lack of urgency. There is zero panic in her voice, just this cold, dead certainty that sets the stage for a complete nightmare. And right on cue, a piercing scream shatters the quiet, pulling us into Section 3, the newborn's arrival. A panicked grandmother and her desperate son rush through the doors holding a dying 4-day-old infant. Dr. Arav immediately takes the child, and you can tell his own heart basically stops. The tiny baby isn't breathing at all. His body is unnaturally stiff. I mean, literally rigid like a piece of wood. His eyes are completely rolled back into his head. And the most terrifying detail, his skin has turned this bruised, deep blue-black color, as if every single ounce of oxygen had just been violently pulled out of him. Total chaos erupts in the room, and the source material sets up this really stark, tragic contrast for us. On one side, we've got the grandmother in the grip of sheer supernatural terror. She's screaming that this is a curse of the Amavasya, a new moon curse, and that an evil spirit has literally taken hold of the child. But on the exact opposite side, we have the son's grounding, desperate medical reality. He's yelling at his mother to stop, begging the doctors to just do their jobs and save his baby. It is this intense, heartbreaking clash between ancient fears and modern desperation playing out right in the middle of the ICU. And while the family is arguing and intern Neha's hands are shaking so badly she can barely find a pulse, the cleaning lady just mutters this incredibly haunting detail. A similar baby came last month, gone before morning. She doesn't even sound scared, guys. She's just stating a routine fact. That implies this isn't an isolated, random tragedy. No, the hospital seems to be trapped in this terrifying repeating loop. Which plunges us directly into Section 4, a failing resuscitation. Aurav is yelling for an immediate NICU transfer. But as he quickly places the newborn onto the stretcher, something inexplicable happens. He physically feels an icy, phantom breath exhaled directly onto the back of his neck. He has to push past the fear to hook the baby up to the heart monitor. The monitor finally flickers to life, and it displays this catastrophic number: 63%. But the truly horrifying part isn't just that the number is critically low. It's that it is completely static. 63, 63, 63. It just refuses to budge even a fraction. It perfectly captures this absolute hopelessness, almost as if the medical technology itself has just thrown its hands up and admitted defeat. Dr. Aurav goes through all the textbook emergency interventions. He applies the oxygen mask. He cranks the oxygen flow all the way up to the maximum. He starts applying gentle chest compressions, just silently pleading with this tiny baby to take a breath. But despite following every logical, scientifically proven medical step, the newborn's body stays completely, unnaturally stiff. No response whatsoever. Just nothing. Meanwhile, outside, the storm is raging. Inside the ICU, the AC is totally off, yet the temperature suddenly plummets. The room literally feels like ice. And when Neha glances up, she sees the cleaner standing right outside the glass partition, unblinking. She's not helping, she's not panicking, she's just watching them like some dark omen, calmly waiting for an inevitable result. It really makes Neha and us start to wonder, is the grandmother actually right? Has something else already claimed this child? Desperate for any kind of scientific answer, we finally reach Section 5, the black blood reveal. With his hands visibly shaking, Dr. Aurav inserts a syringe to draw a blood sample. He is just trying to figure out, purely medically, what on earth is happening to this infant's body. But as Aurav pulls the plunger back, the syringe fills, and it is not with normal liquid red blood. It is a deep, void-like black. It's thick and sticky, honestly kind of like chocolate syrup. Neha is so paralyzed by sheer fear that the test tube slips from her hands and shatters on the floor. But the blood, it doesn't splash or spread out naturally like liquid should. Instead, it stays coagulating, freezing and clinging to the hospital tiles like a living, breathing entity. It completely defies every single law of medicine and nature. And that insane moment leaves us with one incredibly provocative question from the source material. What was the true reality of the Devil's Hour? We're left staring at a scene where modern medicine completely and utterly failed, where blood didn't act like blood, and where an eerie, impossible prediction came completely true. So where exactly does science end and the supernatural actually begin? It's the kind of thing that makes you really hope you never find yourself in an ICU when the clock strikes 2. Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer of the legend, and hey, try to sleep